Dirk, I've been using the interval while they've been getting ready to look around your house. And it is a beautiful house, luxurious house, exquisitely furnished. I see the works of Tacitus over there in Latin. Do you read Latin?
I bought them to fill in the bookcase.
I see. Yes. Would you say that this is certainly what worries me? This is terribly different, this house and its well-ordered luxury, from the public image of the haunted, hunted, passionate young characters you so often play in your films. Is the public image very different from the private Dirk Bogarde?
Your version of the public image is very different, I think. Yes. I didn't know I was haunted and hunted, or whatever you call it.
You were at the beginning of your career.
Oh, yes, the very beginning.
Yeah.
I never really did let that one down, I don't think, for a long time. And you know, the British press love to tag you with things. They invent tags. They invented hunted for me. Yeah. And they invented the angry young man. And I think they even invented Bridget Barlow, frankly, you know. Yeah. You want to get on to asking me questions about the films. Well, this luxurious house, as you said, I suppose it is luxurious in a way. You haven't stayed the night here and you haven't eaten here, but it's pretty good generally, isn't it?
Yes, I look
This is the relics or the results of...
35 films, I believe.
I suppose it's about that. Anyway, 14 years solid work.
Yes.
At least I've got something to show for it, because the pictures haven't been all that too hot, you know. No. Some of them.
No, not the ones on the walls, the ones you made. You mean?
The ones I made. The ones on the walls are the best collection of bogus paintings in England, but still, that doesn't matter either. But out of those 35, I suppose I've really enjoyed making about... This sounds awfully stupid, but I've enjoyed making 6 out of all of them.
Yeah, this is a good point. Let's take what you think are the 6 landmarks in your film career up to date. Or 5.
Landmarks as opposed to pictures I've thoroughly enjoyed.
Yes.
I would have said as landmarks then probably one of the early pictures I made, which was called Hunted, in which I played a little boy called John Whitecliffe, which was dismissed in this country as a sort of another, you know, on-the-run picture, because I'd made too many on the run.
This was really your first starring part?
It was the first time I'd had my name about the title to carry a picture on its own. Yeah. I'd say Hunted, certainly. Then I'd say, without any doubt, Doctor in the House. Yes. This was a complete landmark. It broke a long run of neurotic pathological killers and boys in Macintoshes.
Yes.
After that, I'd say, without doubt, The Doctor's Dilemma, which was the Shaw play, because that at last gave me a chance to act on the screen. I suppose the next landmark would be the first time I went to Hollywood and did the film Song Without End, which was the story of Franz Liszt. Yes. That was a landmark because I worked for the first time ever with a top-key, brilliant American director, George Cukor, who taught me more in 6 months than I'd learnt in 14 years before, or 12 years before.
Well, we're just reeling these off now. What's the next one?
Well, I suppose this present film, which is shortly going to come out in London, which is called Victim.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a moment. Let's go back to Hunted. How did you start this trend as a young thug in a trench coat?
Well, you must remember at that time, I'm talking 1947 when I started, it was very fashionable to have bomb sites because there were plenty of them. Yeah. Spivs were tremendously important, long before they thought of teddy boys. And it was kind of fashionable. Films of violence were an immediate reaction from the war, you know.
You were an actor in search of a bomb site.
So we were I was an actor in search of a bomb site, or as one critic said, an actor in search of God. I don't know what that quite meant, but it stuck for an awful long time. And they gave me...
Are you a religious person?
No. Well, I'm no more religious than the ordinary average man.
Yes.
But in this case, they gave me a Macintosh in one picture, and it seemed that I wore the same prop for about 4 or 5. Right.
But you never were a biceps boy, were you?
No, I wasn't. Yeah. There was a wonderful time when the rank organisation decided that I should be. Yeah. That my head was too small, my legs were too long, and I was too skinny. Yeah. So they went to great expense and got these, you know, weight bars, which I couldn't move. We got the thing sent down, they came off a truck, and they lay where they were for about 6 years. Yes. And I used to put 2 pullovers on and fool them that way.
Yes, Hunted was your first starring part, but it was the Doctor series that brought you to the really big public, wasn't it?
National, and if you like to put it that way, international, because the Doctor's played in every country in the world, which is unusual for a British film anyway. And the Doctor, at least Doctor in the House, was the, well, it was the crossroads picture, because up until then I was sort of really marking time a bit, you know, and if you mark time on one spot, you know what happens, you go into a hole, and you can't get out. Betty Box and Rafe Thomas had this brilliant idea, I thought anyway, to put me in it. There was a great deal of opposition, because as you said, I'd been playing these Cockneys and Spivs and
And this was a comic part, and of course you're not a comedian.
It was a comic film. It was a funny film. I'm not a comedian, no. The point about the Doctor in all the Doctor films was that Simon Sparrow was never funny.
You were a very serious, sympathetic young Doctor, weren't you?
Yes, he had to be, because you had to have a basis of truth in that story, because he didn't do anything particularly funny. The funny things happened to him. Yeah. It was tremendously rewarding and changed the whole entire course of my career from that very day.
Although I've heard recently that Hunted is showing in the arts theatres in New York.
Yes, it still runs in America.
There, so that's funny, yes. So you did 3 Doctor pictures in a row.
Not in a row.
Not in a row, no.
There was a 2-year gap between each one. But I did in a row, which was very marvellous for me. I did 7 pictures in a row with Ray Thomas and Betty Box. Now, they had carefully worked out a plan for me, with myself in mind, that between the 3 Doctors that we were to do, we'd do sort of light romantic parts. We did Tale of Two Cities and all those things.
Yes. Yes, things like Spanish Gardener, Campbell's Kingdom, where you were in the Rocket.
That's right. We tried a bit of everything, so that every range came in, which was a tremendous experience.
Isn't this an awful lot, 3 or 4 pictures in a year?
Money-wise, it isn't. There was a time, I believe, when my father called me up and said, "You're in Brighton in 17 cinemas," or something. That is too much.
You appeared in plays until just about 2 years ago, didn't you?
Yes, I always tried to do that. The organisation used to let me out for a play every 2 years or every 3 years when it was possible to do so.
Why did you give that up?
I gave it up, really, because I did too much filming, and the strain of doing a play, I found after 3 years filming, was enormous. And I always chose, for some reason best known to myself, jolly difficult parts to play in very gloomy plays.
Yes.
And it was double strain, and it was too much to do.
So you're finished with the stage now?
For the time being, yes.
Talking about the Doctor, 4 or 5 years after the Doctor in the House series, you made another Doctor picture, Doctor's Dilemma, based on the Bernard Shaw play.
Yes.
That was very different.
That was quite a different thing, and that, I think, was the film of all that I really bust to do. I was longing to do that. Everybody advised me not to. They said it would be a box office flop on Poison and all that sort of thing. What happened, of course, was what we rather envisaged would happen, was that the moment the film came out, people flocked to see it because they thought it was another Doctor in the series, you see. Mm-hmm. And a great many seats went clacking backwards after about 1/4 of that little number, because they all went back and asked for their money.
Yes.
But, it was not a comedy, but it was the most rewarding film I've ever done from every point of view, critically, and from at last, I said to you just now that I'd never had an acting part. That was one I did have.
The fan following you'd built up to that time, they didn't like this picture, did they?
No, they didn't like it. You've got to remember there are a group, there are followers, there are fans and fanatics. Yes. The fanatics didn't like it at all. The fans weren't too keen on it, but out of loyalty came. The followers still came. You always have followers, you see. And that's the hard core of your audience, if you're a film actor or a film star, if you like to use that phrase, that stay with you whatever you do. Yeah. But the fans are a little different, they vary, and the fanatics only stick with you like the barnacles, for so long.
Of course, playing an artist was obviously not new to you. You were trained as an artist originally, didn't you?
Yes, but I'm not that amoral. I mean, this is... there are artists and artists.
I know.
Mr. Dubedat.
You're not very bohemian either, are you? This house is so... It's so tidy and well organised.
Well, bohemian's a very odd English word. What does it mean? Usually it means that you sit on the floor and eat baked beans out of a cardboard
It just
box.
means you're careless in your ways, I think.
Does it?
And yes.
Well, I'm fairly careless in my ways. But I have a very good staff who look after me and make sure that I'm not too careless. I suppose that's what it amounts to.
This place means a lot to you, doesn't it? It's very much lived in, this house.
Well, my home means everything to me, really, right, which is rather a nuisance, because I've always had roots, I've always wanted to have roots, and I think it's essential in this job particularly that you don't spend all your life in hotel bedrooms or living temporarily. As now we do so much location work, and I'm sort of the king of location, or was. It's important to have somewhere behind you that you know is your home and is running and is geared for you when you come back to it.
Do you find that your friends are in the film world? Do you have friends outside that?
Certainly outside it, yes. I haven't got a great many friends. One has a lot of acquaintances, naturally. Right. But most of my chums are in the business because, we all talk about the same thing. But a lot of people are outside it, which is much more pleasurable.
Just one other point I'd like to make about Doctor's Dilemma. This was directed by Anthony Asquith. Yes. Really the first big-name director you had worked with. Do you like a strong director?
I think it's absolutely essential for me to have a strong director. I can't work without a director. And I know the results the moment I see the picture.
But you have a strong personality yourself. Do you find you argue about how scenes should be done?
Yes, I try to. But you
Who wins when you argue?
Oh, dear Lord, that depends very much on the director. Very often it's an unhappy compromise.
Yes.
Usually, if the director's the sort of director he should be, he wins, which is his job to win.
Yes.
You know.
Soon after this, you went to Hollywood, although they'd been trying to get you ever since 1954 when you were offered a part in a biblical epic, I think, called The Egyptian.
Egyptian, yes.
Were you happy in Hollywood?
Yes, I was very happy in Hollywood. I absolutely loved it. It was the most exciting 6 months' work. It was murder to do, and as such, the film, to me, was a disappointment.
This film, of course, was The Life of Liszt, Song Without End.
Yes.
And opposite you was starring Capucine, the French actress.
That's right.
How did you feel about that part? It was a big, lavish spectacular with a full treatment.
Well, I felt simply when I got the script, I was very ill at the time with pneumonia and was on my way out. And they thought it might be a good idea, the doctors, for me to read the script to sort of try and revive an interest, you know. And I realized, even at that very low state, that this was a part that I'd never be offered in this country because it had everything in it. You know, it was the most enormous soul-starring role, yes, which was possibly its mistake, I don't know. But also, as you said, it was the full musical lavish. It cost something like $3.5 million. It took 6 months to make. And it was the most marvelous introduction to Hollywood because I didn't terribly want to go, so I went on my terms, which was excellent, and worked with, as it turned out, George Cukor, who's one of the greatest directors in Hollywood, who took over the film when Charles Vidor unfortunately died after 3 weeks shooting. And that was the most enormous experience I think I've ever had.
I remember a lot of publicity surrounded that film. There was, of course, the publicity surrounding you and the star, Capucine, but I don't want to talk about that. How do you feel generally about publicity? I suppose as a film star, open and close quotes, you lap it up, do you?
No, I obviously lap it up. Publicity...
I should thought I mean a film star as distinct from an actor who lives on publicity.
Oh, film star, awful phrase that is. Anyway, I can't argue that.
I'm sorry, you're labelled with this.
Yes, I know.
You are the only star...
ever since Jean Harlow, I think, and Clara Bow. So we're all tarred with the same brush. Yeah. Publicity, of course, is essential. If you make a picture, it costs a great deal of money. You've got to have it known that it's on the floor because somebody's got to go and see it. I think publicity is all right as long as it doesn't intrude on your private life. I think that's nothing to do with the public at all whatsoever.
Difficult to draw the borderline in some cases, isn't it?
Well, if you keep your publicity to do with your film and your performance and the things that happen on and around the floor, that's enough.
Are you going back to Hollywood?
If they asked me, certainly, I wouldn't hesitate. It's got to be the right thing.
You've nothing against Hollywood as such?
Oh, heavens no. It's the most wonderful place in the world to do your work.
Really?
I think it's the only place to do your work.
Yes. This is not the view of every English actor.
Well, you know, Hollywood is you either accept it, or you don't accept it, or it doesn't accept you. There are three standards. Yes. I accepted it. Unfortunately, they accepted me. I loved it there. It's a bit like Golders Green in New Delhi, all rolled into one.
So many people are fleeing from Hollywood. You would like to go back?
Well, I don't think people are fleeing from it, are they? Oh, perhaps they are. I don't know. Yes, I'd
well, the trend is, you know, they tend to move out.
I think you would flee from living there. Any sensible person would flee like hell from there. But you couldn't do better than to work there.
I'd like to move on now to your latest film, Victim. This is basically a blackmail story, a detective story, and on that level alone, let it be said, it's a very exciting, suspenseful picture. But what gives it its peculiar bite and depth is the fact that it's concerned with homosexuals.
Yes.
It was your picture. How would you briefly describe your part?
It's difficult to describe it briefly, but briefly in a sort of capsule. Yeah. It's the story, as you know yourself, because you saw it the other day, of a barrister who's happy to marry, but who is finally blackmailed and destroyed by a previous relationship with a man which could or could not have been a homosexual one.
Yes. You must feel very strongly in this subject to risk losing possibly a large part of your following by appearing in such a bitterly controversial film.
I don't think so, no. You see, I told you a little while ago that the parts were not always so good. No. This is a marvellous part, and in the film I think that is tremendously important because it doesn't pull any punches. It's quite honest. It isn't, I don't have to use any old tricks for the fans. It's a straightforward character performance, which is what I've been...
You're made to look much older than you are in the picture.
I play my own age, which is 40, but I have to look rather older than that because you
don't look 40, let it be said.
No, let it be said. But I don't think that everybody said, oh, why did you make such a controversial picture? This is ridiculous. Actors are here for that.
Yes.
You get stuck with rows of boring pictures that people go to see forever. People will go and see this film, I'm quite sure, and thoroughly enjoy it, or be distressed by it, but they will be moved somehow by it.
This is directed, would you say, to a different audience to the one you've been appealing to hitherto?
This is directed to this new and very exciting audience, which has come up, if I may say so, since you came, since television started.
Yes.
Because the younger people of today, that means, the teenagers that are lumped together as lunatics and louts, they're not. There is a lunatic fringe, there always is. But the average teenager now is much more inquiring than I was at 18 or 19 or 16. They're asking many more questions. There is a new audience coming back to the cinema. This is terribly exciting. Everything has shown us in the last 2 years that gradually the cinema attendances are coming up again all over the world, not just in Great Britain, but they are going to a different kind of picture now. There's always a place for the carry-ons and all those, light comedies. Yeah. There always will be, thank heaven. But now people go for more adult entertainment. I mean, look at the types of films that have been shown recently, like Suddenly Last Summer, Saturday Night, Sunday Morning, Long, the Short and the Tall, pictures that wouldn't have been made 5 years ago. And Victim, you couldn't have made Victim, I think, 2 years ago.
Are you worried about the future?
No, good heavens, it's the most exciting future possible. I've been 14 years under contract to the Rank Organization, which was a splendid, marvelous 14 years. I learned tremendous amounts from it. But now I'm free of them, and they very kindly let me go. Yeah. And I can go now and do what I want to. They always thought I was a lunatic anyway, to do the things that I want to do. Now, Doctor's Dilemma was one.
Yes.
Victim is another. I'm shortly going to make a film with Sir Alec Guinness in which there's not one redeeming feature in the character whatsoever. He doesn't even look very nice. Yes. But I know that this film is the right film for an audience that is happening today.
Yes. Your career has showed a certain pattern in that you've done a certain sequence of pictures of a type, and then you've broken away completely. You broke away from the hunted type into comedy,
yes.
Then into Doctor's Dilemma,
yes.
Entirely different.
Yes. Yes.
And now you're Victim. But what sort of picture can you make in the future?
Well, I've got a book of my own, which, not my own, a book which I bought called Covenant
Yes.
with Death, which is about the Battle of the River Somme, which I hope very much that I'm going to be able to produce myself next year in the summer. Now, I don't want to be in it particularly, because it's a story essentially about very young men, because they were very young men who were killed in the Somme. But I would like to be in it and play a character part in it, just for the hell of it, to be
Yes.
in my own production. But basically, I want to put it on the screen,
Yes.
not necessarily be in it. But I want to choose any part I like that excites me, however big it is, wherever the billing is, whatever it looks like, if it's worth playing.
Worth playing. You don't worry so much whether it's right for you. This used to be the...
It'll be right for me if it's worth playing.
And you will have complete control over the roles you play?
As far as I'm able to, I hope,
Yes.
yes. I can go wrong there. Actors do come unstuck when they're on their own very often.
But you're completely confident that you will choose the right kind of picture for yourself?
Yes, I'm
sure. This is
sure
difficult, admittedly.
No, it isn't difficult,
No?
because in the past, we've seen 4 or 5 clips of things. Now,
Yes.
all those pictures I chose to do myself. A number of pictures I didn't choose to do myself, had to do.
Yes.
They didn't always succeed. But the ones I've picked specifically to play in, I haven't really come unstuck on.
Well, I think it's a very honest approach.
That's kind of dried you up, didn't it? Because it sounds, it sounds as if I was too confident.
Yes.
But out of 36 pictures, I know the ones that did me most good.
Yes.
Even if they weren't box office good.
No, you have been wrong commercially on several occasions.
Well, very often, because the best things aren't necessarily commercial, unfortunately.
When you're financing yourself, of course, to be wrong commercially, this could be a bad thing.
A draft up your kilt at any time is uncomfortable. You have to take that risk. And
Yes.
if you're satisfying, can I use the word soul? If you're satisfying your
Yes.
own soul, you've got to take the risk with it.
Yes.
And obviously, I have to go back one day and make a commercial picture. This is a very good thing to do.
Yes.
In between the ones you want to make for yourself.
Well, at this, Dirk, obviously the biggest crossroads in your career so far. Now that you're on your financial own, at last, I sincerely trust the wind will be tempered to the shorn lamb.
Thank you very much. Come on, come in.
Oi, oi. This is the mast of at loose, is it?
Loose. This is the master.
Dare I touch him?
Oh, sure. All right, touch.
Oh, lovely.
She's a kind of drippy girl.